Okay, we are live here. Okay, so today Tuesday, looking at news, we have a ISM services PMI. Looking at numbers, 59.9. Okay. Okay, some important news we have. I believe today we'll have a. I would say maybe we'll have some moves later on in the session today. So okay, come. So let's do some technical analysis. So gold on the weekly, we can look at this like this area here. We can look at it like supply. So the price came on the weekly. We had a bullish closure. So on the higher time frames, the price maybe might wanna, let's say after break these weeks, maybe feel that week or this week.
Teoretyzownie.
Just a moment.
Teoretycznie są pitodami mój to jest nekieczny.
Oh shit.
Kako bi teoretycznie mistrzu?
Nisam ništa čuo, stvarno. Nisam čuo ono, još ja ne slušao. Ej, idem radim sada radim neke analize i to za nešto zavalim. Pa radim to što se javi. Hvala. Okay, so looking at weekly, but maybe a closure down would be a better suggestion for a downtrend. But looking on the daily, you can, if you want, you can, let's say, I see this one. So you can do this like this, and you can do it like this. So probably if we break this area over here, so let's do this. If we break this area over here, there is a high chance that we will continue moving bears, in my opinion. So let's go on the 4 hour, see. Yeah, but then if this is a breakout, this is a retest of this area over here, and we feel this weak here. But yeah, so let's just have that in mind, because for some purpose I don't like having much lane. So let's move this. Okay, so breaking this area down could be a possible bearish target. First this area, then this is area, but we'll see. You can still see this hop hop hop. The bullish scenario can be there above 1762. retesting this area, considering this as a new range, but so you see, if we draw our, let's say this, go 4 hours, see. So let's keep it like this, and we'll see. So a strong closure below this area you can put here in these wicks, but we will move the support and resistance lines as price starts moving. So I mean, you can do it like this, you know, like let's say this. Let's make it 760. Okay, it's a round number, so I mean, but this is here. Then we are talking about this area. You see this area over here, so that can be possibly our first target. But we know that I'm just drawing this line here, so I know above this area we might continue moving bullish. So feeling this probably area over here. So, but taking few candles over here, that would be nice. We can still drop from this area to this area over here. So, but now just looking, the price is ranging over here, so nothing to do at the moment probably, but that's in 2 hours. Probably in 2 hours we will in 2 hours we will have some movement. So that's the manufacturers. Okay. Let's see what's happening in the world for a few minutes.
Ferrero Rocher, najbolji lješnjaci I kremasta čokolada.
This is Trillions ETF MasterChef, where we interview the chefs of the finance world on their hottest investment recipes.
If you're an investor that really believes in investing for the future, that can handle or withstand some of the volatility that can come, then yeah, it could be used as a core holding.
You have athletes and you have influencers as clients. I'd assume they're into crypto. Are you getting them exposure?
We're absolutely overlaying it on the portfolio.
What's your favorite ticker?
It's the best ticker ever. It really kind of captures the themes.
What you're trying to always deliver is a very simple solution. And if you can deliver that simple solution powerfully, I think that resonates quite well in the market. Tell us about this portfolio. Where's that spice going to come from?
We're looking for portfolios that have less risk than the market, but that perform better.
You are building a portfolio. It's much like, cooking a meal. And ETFs, I just think, make investing just so convenient and easy.
Plays all weekend on Bloomberg Television and Radio. Global markets never sleep, so stay connected with Francine Lacqua in London, Matt Miller in Berlin, and Kaylee Lyons in New York. Perspective on the day ahead. Bloomberg Surveillance, early edition. Weekday mornings on Bloomberg Television.
Every Friday with 30 minutes dedicated to fixed income, I'm Jonathan Ferro. This is Bloomberg Real Yield.
Bloomberg has enhanced search on the terminal to deliver what you need when you need it. Now, you can simply type phrases in everyday English in the command line. Compare financials. Find people. Analyze markets. You can enter phrases or ask questions. What do you want to know today? Ask a question or visit SearchGo to find answers now.
The market seems to be buying into the Fed's inflation dismissal rhetoric.
I think it's pretty clear that inflation is going to remain elevated, and that'll be an issue.
I don't think interest rates are the cause of the uncertainty or the risk in the equity market.
For the economy, employment's all important, but for the markets, it's absolutely about earnings.
I'm not worried about revenue. There's certainly plenty of demand out there pretty much across the board. The issue is, can that demand be fulfilled?
This is Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene, Jonathan Ferro, and Lisa Abramowitz.
Good morning, everyone. Jonathan Farrow, Lisa Bramwitz, Tom Keene on radio, on television. An interesting Tuesday, to say the least. We stagger to the jobs report on Friday, but before that, PepsiCo readjusts. PepsiCo says revenues are going to be better than good. John, the mystery of what begins October 13th.
Yeah, on to JP Morgan earnings on the 13th, then the back end of the month, Tom. We kick things off with Apple as well. It's a remarkable moment, and there's a big question. Can you meet your demand with supply? Saw that with Nike, with FedEx, with others too. Tom, that's going to be the key question going into earnings season. It's interesting, the setup right now. Damage at the index level, about 5 percentage points on the S&P. Damage at the individual name, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, much greater than that. Double that, triple that.
Pulled it down to 11%, you mentioned, on Apple as well. And, of course, we're looking at this drawdown. That's a fancy word, people with bow ties. It's not a drawdown, John. It's a loss. And some of the losses out there are tangible.
By the dip. We discussed that briefly, didn't we?
Yes.
Amazon's negative on the year. How's that worked out? They've missed a big rally
they
at the
had
benchmark.
They had a big year the year before.
They
I'll
did.
give them that.
They did. But we talked about this, didn't we? It's so easy to sit here and say buy the dip. In the moment, when things start to happen and smart-sounding people come on programs like this debating whether you should, then you hesitate. We can talk about behavioral finance in just a moment.
Looking at the hesitation in Washington as well, Lisa, to me it's extraordinary how the president continues to manage the message to his Democratic Party.
There is an issue, though, of what will actually get passed and will it be positive or negative for markets. There was a great note from Laura Calvasina from RBC talking about how, on the balance, people actually see this as a potential negative to the S&P because they are starting to build in higher tax rates more than any fiscal boost. I find that interesting, given the fact that probably something will pass, Tom.
Well, that's the uncertainty that's out there, but the other certainty, Lisa, is corporations have to react to it like they're reacting to everything else. What do you see in bond issuance before we see the fiscal ballet?
A record amount of investment-grade bond issuance. And they're buying back shares because what are they doing? What else are they doing? What can they invest in at a time where they can't get enough goods for people to meet the demand that people want to buy? And to me, the key question heading into earnings season, particularly with banks, is the consumer. How willing are they to spend? How determined are they despite some of the inflationary headwinds?
Well, let's come full circle here. We're a little distracted today with Red Sox, Yankees for all you worldwide. But John, this is really, really important.
Bit loose with
if
weight
you
there,
get
so
earnings, John, if you get earnings season out of the way, the first week of November, all the fangs come out with $1 gazillion of bond issuance.
If you can tell me whether these supply issues persist or heal into next year, Tom, we can answer a lot of important questions. Right now, not many people can answer that one.
One quick question before we get to our good guests. John, we haven't mentioned Fantasia, Evergrande, and the rest of China today. I mean, I'm sorry, it hasn't made the headlines, the zeitgeist, but there it is. China still.
This is the snowball, Tom.
Angst.
This is the snowball. This is what happens. You start to get the jitters. The credit market starts to seize up. You can't issue debt. These companies start to have problems. These companies start to have problems. Who wants to put a deposit down on a house now in China? A house that might not be built for several more years. Do you want to take that risk right now? What happens to property prices after that? They roll over. What happens to developers? This happens, Tom. The snowball down the hill.
He sounds
and that's
gloomy.
very, very hard to stop. And what will happen is growth will have to decelerate. That's going to be the back end of all of this story, and that's what we've got to discuss too.
I'm just trying to get the Dow up 200 points. I fail. We're up only 160 on the Dow. SPX up 20 points as well. The VIX comes in 23 down to 22.16. John, what do you see?
Was that too gloomy, Lisa?
I thought it was fabulous. You did a great
job. I'm sure you did. Yield up by a basis point, 149.11. Tom, we've got to talk about crude. 78.62. Up by a full dollar this morning and up another 1.28%. And that right there is the highest since 2014 again. Saw that yesterday, seeing it again this morning. We had some more weight to this crude rally.
Breaking out right now, Brent crude 82.48 as well. It's got some curvature. Can I go logarithmic on that, John?
Please do, Tom.
I'm going to go logarithmic on that right now. And we've got some curvature. He can do logs as well. Omar Aguilar joins us right now, Schwab Asset CIO and head of investments. Omar, I love what you say about the development of new walls of worry. For you and Liz Ann Saunders, does that just mean go long?
Well, that actually means we got to continue to educate our clients on, the behavioral aspect of the market, which means, there will always be concerns. There will always, you can always find a gloomy scenario at any given time. It is true that probably it's a little more difficult to think about the positives at the moment when you had a bad month like September. And it also on the same thing, the whole discussion about inflation, about, gridlock in Washington, about supply chain disruptions, about labor market, it is very easy to continue to build that wall of worry. And that usually that information gets in the hands of investors and consumers.
Omar, talk to me about recency bias, the temptation of extrapolating out last week's price action through the whole cycle. Omar, how do we avoid that?
Well, it is a very natural bias. It's one of those called cognitive biases that, it is very well studied in the literature, which basically you just extrapolate your experience of the recent information, that's called is recency bias, and you actually think that that's what is going to continue going forward. That happens in the bull market. That's what propelled bull markets. If you think about it, that is the whole idea of the FOMO effect, of fear of missing out. But it also works on the downside where, people that have, a bad experience, I think you were talking about earlier, the significant negative returns that we saw in individual names. Well, people extrapolate that and immediately gets the emotional bias to kick in, which gives them doubt of how to make decisions. So recency bias is a very common bias. It's one of the biases that has risen the most, especially during the pandemic and in the process of getting out of the pandemic.
That's the behavioral finance of the investor. What about the behavioral finance of the consumer as they look at higher prices and they say, you know what, maybe I don't want to buy a washing machine because it costs twice as much as it did 2 years ago. Hey, maybe now is not a good time to buy a house. How much does this start to bleed and ingrain itself into the economic moment and create a slowdown in consumer spending despite pretty robust savings?
Well, we did see already that slowdown in consumer spending after the big push in demand at the beginning of the summer. So Lisa, the consumer spending slowdown happened even before we actually got into the full Delta variant. There is a little bit of a hesitation on consumers to think about what may happen going forward. There's another very interesting behavioral finance bias that is called the endowment effect, which means once you've got a lot of cash holding on, it is very hard for people to start thinking about it. Now the good news though is that the consumers have delevered. During this process of accumulating extra savings, they have actually delevered themselves to the point that they actually not as worried about higher interest rates as much as they were probably 3 or 5 years ago. So with that in mind, that actually assumes that with a little bit of a pressure on wage growth and a little bit more of that, drawing down of excess savings, the potential for consumer is maybe not, as strong as people expected, but the holiday season going into next year, it is expected to be positive.
Omar, how important, given what you just said, are bank earnings and their view into consumer borrowing, credit card lending activity there in order to determine what the appetite is for consumer spending?
Well, it is important now. Banks are in the framework that we're talking about is obviously related to what the shape of the curve is, and as well as what the demand is for extra credit, as well as in general just the level of interest rate. So the process of what they have is definitely not as strong as they were in the beginning of this year, but certainly they're well positioned for going forward because we do expect that there's going to be a significant amount of extra demand for credit, especially as investors and consumers start to balance how much they actually have to draw from their credit and how much still with a low absolute level of interest rates they can actually still use credit for.
Omar, just to wrap things up, I hear a lot about the bar, but I want to talk about on the one side of it, the cyclicals, energy, banks. What you just said on banks is important. We've had a massive move in energy over the last month or so. Energy equities, not just the underlying commodity. I want to understand what you do with that position now, Omar. Is it something you sit on, or are you looking to move into banks which haven't really kept up at all with what's happened with energy equities?
Yes, so a couple of things on this, and we'll probably say the first thing is, we are getting into that process of moving into that mid-cycle. In a way, the announcement by the Federal Reserve about the tapering just extended that recovery cycle where cyclicals continue to, outperform. Now, yes, we did hit a little bit of a break in the summer because of Delta, but, we continue to see that cyclical, position. And we still think there is probably another quarter to actually go to answer your question, John, where you can still go around those things where we will have these supply demand disruptions that will, help energy, that will help industrials, that will help financials. Now, we always encourage our investors to rebalance their strategy. And this is an interesting time because a negative month like September allows them to be proactive, especially in tax loss harvesting. And this is probably one of the things that is the most important in wealth management.
Omar, thank you, sir. Omar Aguilar of Schwab Asset Management, the CIO and Head of Investment, allowing you to pre-plan that rebalancing, Tom, if you wish.
I thought Mr. Clarida was planning the rebalancing.
He didn't miss that one,
That
did
was
you?
the thrust
That was quick. Nice one,
that was
TK.
the thrust of Craig Torres' story.
Got an email from Saks, Tom, 60% off everything at Valentino. Makes you think, doesn't it? Markets, when they say 60% off, 10% off, you run away. But when it comes to any other market, like, say, shopping, Tom, for you, people gravitate towards it.
Are you shopping online?
Just got the email on my work account. It's there. 60% off everything.
Does that excite you? You're
Up
gonna
to
go buy it?
60%. It gets some people excited. That's the point here. But when it comes to markets, people start second-guessing themselves. And I go back to something I said. The easy money's never been made. There was no easy money to make.
The famous phrase of the gentleman from Tennessee, Sir John Templeton, he would say, John, shares are on sale.
Shares are on sale. That's how we started this morning, Lisa. Tech on sale.
Well, the interesting thing is, are they? I mean, if you take a look
There
at
you go.
Facebook, for example, if you take a look at Facebook, for example, the shares are still up dramatically on the year. Amazon, not so much, down 2%. Apple, only up 5%, right? But if you take a look, what's your starting point? We had such a huge rally earlier in the year. It's just taken some of the froth out of that.
John, that's classic. I mean, that is classic Abramowitz. We got
I knew I
to
could
go
take
with
the
it. The pendulum of our
Just a quick one on Facebook. Senator Blumenthal. Zuckerberg should appear before Congress. That whistleblower down in DC today. That one's got legs, Tom. That story's not over. That's for sure. To state the obvious. Tom Key, Lisa Bravitz and Jonathan Ferro. Equity futures this morning, positive. Good morning, up 20. We advance a half of 1%. Yields higher a basis point to 149. Crude rallying 78.61, up by 1.28%. Heard on radio, seen on TV for our audience worldwide. This is Bloomberg.
With the first word news, I'm Rishka Gupta. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson wants the country to grow its way out of its economic problems. Johnson told ITN the focus needs to be on productivity and wages.
There is no alternative. The UK has got to and we can do much, much better by becoming a higher wage, higher productivity economy. And what I think, we've got fantastic supply chain, fantastically clever people work on our logistics, and they will fix all these.
Access the financial world on demand. Hear from leading economists, policymakers, and industry experts via live and on-demand webinars, only from Bloomberg.
I mean, the daily trend is. I mean, you can wait for break of this area, so going here, 100 pips. This area over here was 80, 78. You can maybe catch that. On daily, you can also. We respect this support. We go here. But I do believe in 2 hours this news can play a major role. So also I call them. You know what? Sometimes I mean you need to based on the situation, but sometimes I call it a golden hour. It's an hour before the news where price starts to be nervous a little bit and then starts moving and then you take a piece of it and run away. You see, we talked about this. So it's still hour and a half before the news, but if we can break 1760 area, this is a resistance. Next one makes a pullback, and we can target this area over here. So this week's over here. Let's see what happens. Not sure if I'm gonna execute, but let's see. This is a resistance. Next one makes a pullback, and we can target this area. So it's still hour and a half before the news, but if we can break 1760 area, this is a resistance. Next one makes a pullback, and we can target this area. So it's still hour here. Does gold wanna play? Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Okay, so we have one shot. One shot. So 60. I don't know, should I trust this because the price is at the high point, so maybe some stronger pullback with my stop loss and then maybe a higher target. That would be because this see. Or I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I do wait for the news because maybe that will be the better move. Maybe below this area over here we can have them sell started in this area here, but so maybe it's best to wait 10 a.m. Eastern time so they show us a direction and we try to take a small piece of out that direction.
So this was my earlier day. So it's still an hour and a half before the news, but we're over here. So this week's over here. Let's see what happens. We're over here. So we're over here. We're over here.
Yeah, this will be nothing. So. Okay, I have nothing to do, so I will read this a little bit because I'm bored and we are having news in 1 hour, so I mean, this looks like we should continue down this one. So 157 here, to here, so trading this range that could be done. Well, I will let it do its thing. Daily. Yeah, best sells would be over this area. I think if we break, but that's 150 pips away, so. So this was beautiful. Hmm. I'm not sure, but I don't want to be selling low, you know what I mean? Let's wait for the news. I don't want to force any trades, so it's better to wait. We are still ranging, doesn't? Why I need to be here and now over here? Maybe it's better if we break this area here, 753. We target 50 pips and we have a stop loss of 40 pips. We'll see. So we have 100 pips here, almost 100 pips here, so let's chill out. Oh, I guess this was a trade. Haha, you see? This is a trade that I wanted to execute on, but I guess it's gone. Okay, I was right now. Let's wait for news. Oh god. As I said, these orders need to go somewhere. 13 pips for it's small range, so but doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. I guess imagine if we do fake a dollar here. Hilarious. But we had a move almost 100 pips, so my price maybe now chill out a little bit. But we are starting to get some movement, that's for sure. So I said before it's a golden hour, so you see we gave a lot of push. I don't know, should I wait for the news? But technically speaking, we should see a drop now. But only thing concerning me is this news we have. I don't know. Only thing concerning me is that we have news in 45 minutes. but there is momentum, and we did a big fake out, and yeah. Let's see. So I'm gonna make this a risk-free trade because there is news in 45 minutes, and I don't want to be stuck in some liquidity pools. So if it goes, it goes. It's 10 pips in profit, but you see. If we get stopped out at break even, we get stopped out at break even. So yeah, we're probably gonna be stopped out, but that's why I forced this trade little. So 170. Okay, let's close. Maybe it's best. 200. Okay. So I closed it because it's we have news in half an hour, so I shouldn't have forced this one. But yeah, I will wait for the news, but I will not trade it because I already took one trade. So
So it's still hour and a half before we over here. So this week's over here.
you see, this is why I could still be in that trade, but I didn't wanna because I entered before the news, and I missed this one. And now I wanted, so Little FOMO, but that's okay. This was the best one. I wanted to execute on this one, and I opened my order table, and but I didn't. But it's okay. You see, this is why you don't trade before half an hour before the news, because the news can come out different number and it just stops you, and then you can win, but it's gambling. But I did miss this one. Będę mecz na kołdrze, znasz mecz, na takiego tak. Ja kołdrze, ja na kołdrze. A tam gdzie буде mecz. Чи можеш увидеть, а вона буде. А, это то и измерить, что надо. Hmm.
Start exploring to see what's moving the market.
Introducing SpeechALoud, the most natural sounding text-to-speech software on the market. Hey, I'm
Every single day you get earnings. Are you sensing that your message is resonating with them at the moment?
Oh, I think it is very much. I think investors have come to have very high expectations for our performance, and thankfully we're meeting those expectations. I'm not sure where we sit right now. The last I checked, we were probably up about 1%, and that's probably a reflection of the fact that we had a great quarter, and investors expected us to have a great quarter.
Halo. Halo. Ej. Da. Evo, sad smo stavili kuhati ručak, Duje se je operao i sve, pa je išao malo na vrh.
I think we're unique because now, as you can see, we are in a studio atmosphere. We're not in a remote atmosphere anymore. But then how do we kind of continue to use StreamYard is pretty much every show we have has a remote guest in. So we bring our remote guests through StreamYard. We have virtual events still with all of our season ticket holders and our VIP clients. All that is going to be produced through StreamYard. And we have podcasts, which have guests from any location will come through via StreamYard. So for us, I mean, I have a feeling this is why we're on a stream like this with you guys for StreamYard Business, but we are extremely happy with everything we've been able to do with StreamYard.
Poveži mobilne i fiksne usluge onih koji su ti gigabitni u mozaik pogodnosti. Jer što vas je više, rastu i zajedničke uštede. Surfaj neograničeno bilo gdje, a doma uživaj u gigabitnom internetu.
488 is... What's the countdown to the open? This is Bloomberg.
Okay, there are news in 2 minutes.
Might it impact China's growth because it is already slowing? Chinese manufacturers are curbing production. This is the latest shock to global supply chains, already delayed by, part delays, chip shortages, saddled with soaring commodity prices as well.
Well, Haslinda, when we've seen a lot of supply chain disruptions at the beginning of this COVID pandemic, and then, supply chains became resilient and it really moved goods around, especially medical goods and supplies. But now, at this part of the pandemic, we are seeing disruptions again, and discontinuities. And that is because of what we spoke about, the demand that is pent up. And of course, if you have factories slowing down and, not being able to produce as much, that is going to impact growth and the recovery.
Do you have any mistakes you've made or?
So, this is the news time, so I won't be executing any fast orders, but let's see. Okay, so it's better than expected, so so that means that the gold should be pushing down, so but maybe it's already priced in, so I don't know, maybe the ADP information tomorrow is gonna push gold.
Često me pitaju otkud mi sva ta super robica iz mojih storija.
Our first stop was the home of an 82-year-old blind Vietnam veteran. His roof
So you see this? Počekaj, sad će oći, pa ćemo s njom. A mogu samo jedan? Možeš i dva. Ja sad. Ovakav? Može. Yeah, we will not get close here. Dujkan bi šel ugasiti pečnicu. Duje. Duje. Hej, Dujkan. Dujkan, ugasi pečnicu. Hej. Znači ima dva kruga. I ovaj desni okreni s 200 na 0. I ploču smanji na 4. Okay guys, I'm calling it today, but if we do break this area over here, we should continue down, let's say, yeah, 50 pips, that can be our target, but maybe a 30-minute candle closing about this area down. But yeah, I'm a little bit tired and I'm calling it today, so let's see, maybe 12 more minutes if I stay.